Palpatine's death aboard the Death Star shook the galaxy to its core, and as a result, just over a year after his death, the Imperial remnants were forced to surrender. However, what would happen if Sidious survived? For this theory, I want to go over the idea that Vader still betrays Sidious, and upon attempting to kill him, something goes wrong. Either Sidious manages to break free, or maybe a royal guard intervenes. However, Sidious ends up killing both Vader and Luke. Now, we'll say Palpatine escapes, and he'd likely head to Coruscant, the Empire's capital. Here, he would have the entire planet locked down, no one in or out. He'd likely gather the Council of Moths to deal with the current events. Even though Palpatine survived, the Imperials now face a lot of problems. Of course, they've lost a great deal of money and manpower, as well as Vader no longer being an asset. However, the biggest problem they face is the embarrassment. Not only from the super weapon being blown up again, but also Sidious himself. Sidious, the Sith Lord who wiped out the Jedi Order. Sidious, who's responsible for destroying Alderaan, is now the Sith whose apprentice turned on him. The Sith whose master plan was undermined by a bunch of rebels, and he was forced to flee to his fortress on Coruscant. This is particularly bad as the Empire rules through terror, and after a loss of this scale, it's easy to think that systems who'd grown tired of Imperial rule would plot against them and plan to join the rebellion. It's also terrible for Palpatine personally. You see, Emperors have a history of being assassinated and replaced. Palpatine managed to avoid this through intimidation alone. As I said, Palpatine's reputation for destroying the Jedi and replacing the Republic with the Empire is pretty intimidating. However, sensing weakness in the Emperor, it's incredibly likely that some high-ranking Imperial officials such as the Moths would plan a coup against the old Emperor. For this reason, I believe Sidious would opt for a show of force method to ensure people would think twice before moving against him. Contingency plans such as Operation Cinder, which is basically a device made to destroy Naboo's ecosystem and cause natural disasters, reducing the planet to a bunch of rubble basically, would be put into action. As well as this, the Empire would likely begin a campaign of terror. Troops made to uphold Imperial rule would be transformed into death squads to exterminate entire civilizations, expected of being potential rebel sympathizers. Palpatine would likely take on a new apprentice and would become even more reclusive, fearing his own counsellors as much as the enemy and brutally punishing failure. Meanwhile, the rebels would become more powerful than ever before. As I said, systems would rally to their cause. As well as this, although Imperial atrocities would keep the local populace in line, it would create a great amount of resentment for the Empire and likely lead to ordinary civilians flooding the rebels' ranks. Luke would become a martyr for the rebellion, and whilst the Empire's economy crumbles after the loss of the Death Star and a sizable portion of the fleet, the rebellion will begin to take ground quicker than ever before. Now, when Palpatine did die, the war was over and the Empire surrendered after the Battle of Jakku and a devastating loss. However, under Palpatine, the Empire would never surrender. I believe the war would only last far longer, and the Imperials would switch to far more brutal and devastating tactics to bring them victory and fend off the rebel threat. However, I believe it would ultimately be in vain. The Empire would struggle to fund rebuilding its navy and military, with rebels taking valuable targets daily. And with the brutal combat, few civilians would freely choose to join the ranks of the Imperials, and I believe the Moths would be all too aware of this. For this reason, I think after years of brutal conflict following the Death Star's destruction, the military governors would likely coup against Palpatine, for example bombarding the Imperial Palace when he's in it. If successful, they would sue for peace with the Alliance, and we'd likely see a scenario similar to that of Force Awakens. Perhaps the Imperials would be far less eager to get behind another tyrannical leader so easily after seeing what Palpatine had done. But what do you think? How do you believe this scenario would have played out, and do you think it's good or bad? Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and remember to put your opinions below as they're great to read. And please like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.